I don't even know where to start. No, I know. It seems that out of 5.5 hours, at least an hour of timekeeping was taken up by slow crawls through the ventilation. Ventilation here at every turn. In 10 minutes of gameplay, you can crawl through 3 different guts. The hero will slowly crawl into each, then slowly crawl along it and slowly crawl out. It seems that the concept of a cinematic game for the Scofield team was this: it is when the hero constantly crawls on his belly, squeezes through cracks and walks on all fours in low aisles. This is what players like so much. All PlayStation exclusives are like that. Make as many ventilations as possible, the players are crazy about them. After another pipe, which took about 30 seconds to climb, the 3rd or 5th in the last 15 minutes and about the 50th in 5 hours, I turned off the game with a burning ass. Is it really fun? Is it spectacular? Hold down one button and watch the hero slowly move forward. Barely moving his limbs, he climbs stairs, wanders knee-deep in water, barely moving his legs. Animations, wow, look what animations. He crawls so gracefully on his belly. If this is really cool, then it seems that I do not understand something. The Callisto Protocol is a viscous swamp in which it is very unpleasant to drown. Punishing combat system crawls through the vent. Oh, if everything was limited to one ventilation. Glen Scofield analyzed Dead Space and realized that the problem with the game was the firearms. Even on hard difficulty, the onslaught of the necromorphs was easily suppressed by competent limb shooting coupled with tactics and crowd control. If you play Dead Space tactically, it really is not difficult. So what? Correctly. Therefore, firearms are now becoming almost useless. I note that in the first 5 hours of the game I had a chance to use only the basic pistol, and is it really the most common pistol? Where did the branded Scofield units that gave out a pack per hour go? This gun is just insignificant, it does almost no damage. That's how it's intended. The main friend of the space prisoner is an electric stick, which must be hit on the head of local necromorphs, and at special timing moments, you can fire a weapon to cause at least some tangible damage. Yes, the focus of the game is the melee system. Whether you like it or not, you have to swing your stick. And it's just disgusting. This system has a punishing design. Here is her base. The enemy can hit you from the right or left, and you must dodge in the right direction. To do this, as you understand, is not so simple. Mistakes are inevitable, everything happens quickly. And it's not always enough just to guess the direction, you also need to perfectly enter the timing. You can dodge correctly but still take damage. The alternative to dodges is to block, but then you will take damage. Also, the enemy can suddenly riposte you and force you to dodge or block again so that you take more damage. By the way, after a series of 3 hits, the main character falls into a 3-second animation gap, and at that moment you take damage because you get hit. That is, as you already understood, you will receive damage often. Glen Scofield seems to be trying to make his own Dark Souls, but that combat system lacks the depth to build gameplay on. The combat system is the repetition of 3 techniques from time to time. Waving a stick is damn boring. Rebuttal: listeners pointed out that it is actually possible to dodge in either direction, as long as you do it early and alternate directions. However, in the tutorial segment, the game forces you to dodge in a specific direction, against the direction of the attack, and reinforces this pattern several times. In this game, even the tutorial is misleading. Anyway, in this game, everything desperately wants to destroy you. You have come around the corner, some kind of monstrous head on the neck umbilical cord is digging into your neck. You open the door or closet, a vile worm jumps on your face. Avoiding damage is very difficult. And you will die a lot even on the easiest difficulty. Understand correctly, this game really wants to humiliate you. And for her, the goal is important, not the methods. Get ready, the game wants to take away your health bar, minimizing the chances to prevent it. Nightmare design and punishing combat system. Oh, if the problem was only in the combat system and ventilation. Glen Scofield, apparently, thought, what will happen if we combine these two such outstanding things? How would you do it? Yes, easy. Checkpoints in the game are placed not at all where you would like. Died during a long combat section? Well, you're out of luck, of course. Get ready to appear at the point where you will have to climb the stairs for 15 seconds, and then squeeze through the gap for another 20 seconds. Maybe watch the cutscene again. Or even more than once. For boring deaths, the player is deliberately punished with boredom. Boring climbing, boring knee-deep wading in water, boring crawling through ventilation. God, why? Well, Glen Scofield obviously knows that this will not be enough for you. You are too strong. Therefore, the levels will not have any intelligible navigation system and you will be forced to constantly run back and forth between a couple of rooms, trying to figure out where the exit is. Periodically crawling into those very ventilations for 15 to 20 seconds, from where they crawled out. Tiny markers of interactive objects will appear very close, so that you, for sure, at least once crawled along this gut in the opposite direction, thinking that you didn't notice some kind of lever or didn't pick up the right item earlier. Hope you have fun. Because I'm in agony. It really is a hell with no way out. I don't remember a single time in my entire gaming experience when I was so bored. So boring that it almost physically hurts. Seriously, my chest was tight and my head hurt. It's even scary to imagine how many ventilations I missed by dropping this game. Beautiful environment and good sound design. Yes, crawling through the ventilation, from time to time we will crawl out into beautiful rooms. Here and there you will meet a remarkable environment, a giant prison laundry room, a medical compartment. But more often you have to wander through completely identical blocks, and as a cherry on the cake, go to conquer the underground sewer, crawl through the ventilation towards the streams of shit. I'm not kidding now, if that. Was Glen Scofield joking? In a word, the artistic potential most of the time is divided into a boring and most of the same type of environment, although in some moments there is some kind of atmospheric location or a remarkable scene. But when sound comes into play, even the most boring locations turn out to be atmospheric. Any horror fan knows how important sound is to horror. And with him in the game there is complete order. In prison something is constantly buzzing, creaking, scratching, champing, growling, spinning, knocking and so on. Moreover, the atmosphere is complemented by purely horror sounds, these sudden squeals under screamers and so on. That is true, in the middle of the Callisto Protocol, you can just stand still at any moment and check out the atmosphere. She is the thickest. Try to walk slowly and set yourself up to be well frightened, as if you yourself will find yourself there. But do you know what the problem is? You won't stand for a minute. Because there are still about 30 ventilations ahead, through which you can crawl, and recently you drove off to a remote checkpoint and stupidly rush forward, holding one button. To slow down on the next narrow passage or ventilation, the mother of the unfortunate Glen Scofield in every way. And you know what's the funniest thing? In the main menu, instead of the phrase new game, the phrase new experience flaunts. Indeed, I have never crawled so much through ventilation in games in my life. Why it's worth playing, this is a classic corridor adventure without a second thought. Great atmosphere and sound design. It's a bit like Dead Space and The Suffering. What ruins the fun? Opaque level design with lots of dead ends. Combat system with an emphasis on close combat. Ventilation and narrow passages, developers do not know the measure. Checkpoints, forcing you to reclimb into the ventilation and narrow passages. Tasteless and flat plot. The complete lack of optimization on the PC, this is the most crooked port in many years. Outcome. In an attempt to rethink Dead Space's weaknesses, Glen Scofield ended up turning its formula into something torturous and boring. Trying to emulate the plot of Dead Space, Glen Scofield gave birth to a low-fat and flat self-repetition, devoid of at least some independent value. It's a nasty and stuffy adventure with punishing gameplay. Remote checkpoints do not at all force the gamer to desperately fight for his life, they drag out time and are simply annoying. The combat system does not have enough depth to build a strong gameplay core on its basis, where the player is always aware of his mistake and learns from it. To be honest, the real core of the Callisto Protocol gameplay is ventilation crawling. Exclusive to PlayStation, no matter what,